Steve David in the T Plus is flying high after his big win last week and is looking to repeat and win the Gold Cup. But defending Gold Cup winner Chip Hanauer in the Miss Budweiser is looking to make history with his own big win. ESPN presents the RC Cola 1993 Unlimited Hydroplane Series. The second stop of this series, the Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup. Sponsored by RC Cola. Race to the taste of RC Cola. Me and my RC. By T Plus. Beat the daily grind. Use T Plus the engine treatment with DuPont Teflon. And by Budweiser. Beechwood Aged for that smooth taste. Proud to be your Bud.
This is the Motor City of Detroit. You're looking at the Detroit River, a historic race course for many a hydroplane battle. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hendrick, along with Steve Montgomery. Dick Crippen standing by for the play-by-play of today's Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup, the second stop in the RC Cola Hydroplane Series. A little different type of race, Steve.
As you said, Jim, this is the Gold Cup. Those flag starts we've shown you the last year and a half or so, not used today. The Gold Cup uses the old rules. We've had the drivers out here practicing those timing runs. All that milling and dicing that takes place before the race, we'll have a great shot of it for you from the Budweiser airship.
Yes, we have our cameras all around this course. We have plenty of action. In fact, we had a lot of action yesterday. This is a two-day event. Let's take a look.
Well, you can see it was a little bit on the cool side yesterday by the jackets the fans are wearing here in Detroit, but it won't affect the drivers. Lane number 1, the Tide boat, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Lane 2, Winston Eagle. Lane 3, Circus Circus. Lane 4, and Art Van's American Spirit. Lane 5 on the outside, it was the Pace boat coming down for the start. The green flag out, and the boats take it hard into turn number 1, but it's the Winston Eagle with the hometown favorite, Mark Tate, aboard. Mark was born right up the road from Detroit. He knows this river well, and he knows about that rooster tail turn, that sharpest of all turns in unlimited hydroplane racing that's coming up after the backstretch. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes on the outside as they try to go down side by side. Mark Tate puts his foot in it and gets the power to the Winston Eagle.
And he gets a little high in that right sponson, Dick, as he gets near corner number 3 down here at the Detroit Yacht Club. This is a tight rooster tail turn. This oval-shaped course is really big in corners 1 and 2, very small in corners number 3 and 4. And Mark Tate hopes to repeat his biggest thrill in powerboat racing. He won this event in 1991, the Gold Cup.
Little battle for second place going on the inside with the Art Van American Spirit, Mark Evans, and on the outside in spot number 2, it is the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes boat, but uncontested is Mark Tate aboard the Winston Eagle. And Mark would like nothing better than to win a Gold Cup here in Detroit before his hometown fans. He's done well in qualifying races with this boat. He just hasn't been able to put it into the winner's circle as consistently as they'd like. So they hope to break that trend here in Detroit today.
Over 575,000 people expected this weekend, and they get it. This is the largest crowd ever to attend a motorsports event, and that includes the Indianapolis 500.
Here's the checkered flag out now as Mark Tate finishes the turns on the Detroit River. This was, of course, racing yesterday in Heat 1A, Winston Eagle, American Spirit, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, the Tide, and Circus Circus finishing out in 5th place. Heat 1B, another 3-lapper, again run yesterday. In lane number 1, it's the DOC AccuView, Miss T Plus lane 2, Miss Budweiser lane 3, and DOC Ray-Ban in lane 4. And as the boats came down, the Miss Budweiser was obviously the dominant force in this race. As they headed down into turn number 1, Chip Hanauer puts the boat out front. Didn't have to work particularly hard on this one. Again, we say this is a 3-lap race. The races coming up later today for the Gold Cup will all be 5-lap races. There's a great shot of the Miss Budweiser on a river that Chip Hanauer has had some very happy memories from.
Now, there are no lane choices as per your qualification speeds in the Gold Cup. You go out at the 5-minute gun, you run on the clock like the old rules, you do not have assigned lanes, you have to fight for it. So evidently, the Budweiser started here in lane 3 yesterday. That was by choice by the driver, Chip Hanauer.
Chip Hanauer liking those middle lanes so far this year. He doesn't want to put the boat right on the buoys, wants a little extra run. Look at the ride of the DOC AccuView. Ken Muscatel getting bounced around in there. He's going to be happy he's got that 8-point harness on to just hold him in the seat. Here's the DOC Ray-Ban, Mitch Evans. He's had a little bit of engine problem with that boat. It's the only piston boat in the field, and it looks like he's lost the rooster tail. He has engine trouble that will not be fixed on the course. And speaking of engine problems,
well, we hear from the pits now that the T-Plus is down because the engine, the oil pressure has dropped and the engine has seized up.
that's bad news for them, but this is good news for the Miss Budweiser. Chip Hanauer, checkered flag is out. His first win of the weekend.
And lap number 1 yesterday on this heat, 158.155, a new competition lap record for the Detroit course, beating the old record set by Tom Death in 1990 by about 4 miles an hour. Now, Steve David knows, as his crew, Tim Ramsey, and the rest of those guys, they may have to replace the hot section if this engine, if when the oil pressure dropped on the course, they did extensive damage. They're really going to have to work on this boat. The skyline of the Motor City on the banks of the Detroit River, where earlier this week in qualifying the fastest lap ever, the Winston Select Lap Award goes to the record-setting 170.087 mile an hour for Mark Tate of Detroit, Michigan, in the Winston Eagle.
It had been a long time since anyone had out-qualified Chip Hanauer and Miss Budweiser. Not only did Mark Tate do that here in Detroit, he set a new world record for a 2.5-mile course. The combination just came together, or did you find some magic?
Well, basically, you know, we just put a motor in and put a setup down real quick and went out and ran, and we didn't even have the rear wing on the boat, and Jim just says go out there and feel the boat out, and if it feels good, try and lay down a lap. And so we did that. We ran 2 laps, and the second lap happened to be a 170-mile-an-hour lap, and it was a big thrill, but that was something that we're going to have to put behind us here today and get focused for racing conditions on Saturday and Sunday.
The Detroit Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup, and it'll be Gold Cup racing action when we come back in just a moment.
Jim Hendrick along with Dick Crippen and Steve Montgomery as we look at the city of Detroit, 1,500 feet above the surface in the Bud 1 airship piloted by Tony Stevenson and Mike Hance. They're based in Los Angeles. We have a camera in the sky for this Gold Cup, which has lots of tradition. Here's Dick Crippen to explain it all.
The Gold Cup and the Detroit River, boy, they go together as matchmates as far as unlimited hydroplane racers are concerned. You can win a lot of Gold Cups in a lot of different locations, but when you win one on the Detroit River, it's real special. Why? Because of the history of the river. It's got a sad history in the drivers we've lost here, but it's got a very happy history in the many, many moments of victory that have been had. Today, Chip Hanauer will go out onto this river not only as the defending Gold Cup champ, but as the man most likely to move on to set a record in Gold Cup wins. If he wins today, it'll be a 9th Gold Cup, and he will eclipse the record that was held by Bill Munsey, who not only was a man very instrumental in getting Chip Hanauer into unlimited hydroplane racing, but a man that was very much loved by one Chip Hanauer. So it'll be a very special win to owner Bernie Little, but an exceptionally special win to one Chip Hanauer. The Gold Cup and the Detroit River, they go together, and they will go together today.
Heat 2A yesterday saw the driver of the DOC AccuView, Ken Muscatel, get a $100 fine for lane encroachment on the Winston Eagle and damage the tail of that boat. The lineups were T-Plus, Circus, Kellogg's, DOC AccuView, and the Winston. As they come down now, there are 5 boats up on the front line. The Winston Eagle is back in the section. He got wet down a little bit. That's where the lane encroachment came just prior to the start. And as they come into corner number 1 of the first turn down by the Belle Isle Bridge, it seems that Kellogg's Frosted Flakes with Mike Hansen is safely out in front, and he did cut over, but they say legally. In that mishap of all the rooster tails coming together, all of a sudden, it was the Circus barrel rolling. He got hit by the tail of the T-Plus. The T-Plus rooster tail hits full blast. The boat does a complete barrel roll, upside down, lands right side up. The Circus suffered severe damage to the left sponson, the tail, and the deck section. Dave Vilwak was okay. The T-Plus driver, Steve David, was fined $500 and disqualified from the 2A restart as we see the driver, Vilwak, getting aboard the rescue boat. Steve Montgomery talked to the crew chief of the Circus, Dan Walters.
You know what happened down there?
Yeah, Dave came over on the radio and said he was okay. He said T-Plus came over on the top of him, cut right in front of him.
Did the boat go over?
I couldn't see. I just saw a lot of spray.
So he didn't tell you whether it flipped or rolled or what happened?
No, they're saying left sponson's pretty well broken up and lost the wing, cowling, most of the top stuff.
Here's Dave Hillwalk getting out of the rescue boat, returning to the docks. Now let's go down to the T-plus area of the pits, where Steve David has been fined and disqualified from the restart of Heat 2A. Let's go to Steve Montgomery for that part of the story.
Steve, can you tell us anything about what happened?
I'm not really certain. Frosted Flakes came over real hard in the first turn at the entry pin, and I was in lane 2, and apparently, I guess, Circus was close enough to me that he must have caught some of my water, because we received a DSQ for this heat. So I got to talk to Vilwalk and see exactly what happened. In my mirrors, I didn't think he was close enough, but apparently he was.
Were you outside of him? He was in lane 2.
Yeah, I was outside of Circus, but I thought, well more than 5 boat lengths ahead of him, but apparently not. And I guess there was some other dicing going on at the start as well.
The power of a rooster tail in competition shows the extensive damage caused to the Circus as the left sponson completely destroyed. They're out for the day. Let's go back to Steve Montgomery in the pits.
Tom Tomlinson from Las Vegas and Circus Enterprises has been with Dave Vilwalk in the bus. I know the doctors want him to take a little easy for a while, and you've been with him. How's Dave doing?
He's in very good spirits. He got some pretty severe knee damage from the catapult in the flip, and his knee slammed against the steering wheel. But other than that, he looks good. He's talking well. His vital signs are fine, and he'll be okay.
The boat obviously cannot be repaired by tomorrow, but your backup boat is here. Will it be able to race?
That is correct. We're still waiting to see from the doctor. They're going to look at Dave again and give him the go-ahead, the A-OK or the nay.
We'll continue to follow that story and keep you up to date on it. Meanwhile, let's take a recap of Heat 2A, the restart. And Mike Hansen moved over into lane number 1, it looked like, on the restart. He's in the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes boat. This boat has really come on strong this year. It's one of those boats that had some problems in handling last year and such, but now he's perfectly confident in the boat. The engine is running well. He is in first place, second place as they run on the course here in Detroit. The Winston Eagle with Mark Tate.
And it looks like Mark is riding a little nose heavy. You see him pounding the corner number 1. Now look at the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. That boat has improved every race. The people of the city of Madison, Indiana, that support this boat, 13,000 plus people, can be proud of this team. They're going to give them a battle all year, and we're going to be there, of course, for the big race, the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup, Madison, Indiana, the weekend of July 4.
It'll be a lot of fun to watch that crowd respond to that boat, because it is really running well. But right now, the Winston Eagle is really running well, too. And this is the boat, of course, that had the 170-mile-per-hour plus lap in qualifying. Mark Tate, who's a hometown boy, knows this river. He's gone to the outside of the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Now, the outside run means he has more course to cover, but he can also keep his speeds a little bit higher in the turn.
And Mark Tate in the Winston Eagle is about to take the lead, but he doesn't have to work this hard, but he doesn't know it. They have given a 1-lap penalty for that lane change to the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, so he'll finish officially 3rd behind the Winston Eagle and the DOC AccuView.
Of course, at this point, neither driver was aware of the penalties, and you can see some good deck-to-deck racing there by the Winston Eagle on the outside, the left of your screen. To the right, it is the striped Kellogg's Frosted Flakes boat. And boy, you gotta like that paint job. And look how tight he can handle on the buoys. That's important in this racing.
Yes, it is, and this is a rough Detroit River course. They stretch in the back chute, though, very smooth, because all the water dissipates over on the Belle Isle Beach and doesn't come back on the drivers.
Important to note, because as you can see in the background, as the boats pass the pit area and some of the crowds, the bank on the other side, the front straightaway, is such that the water will come back out and make some rollers. There's the checkered flag, the winner of Heat 2A, Mark Tate, followed by Ken Muscatel in the DOC AccuView, then Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. 2 boats, 1 disqualified, Miss T+, and the did not start to the Circus.
And of course, the Circus damage, that's the reason for not starting. Heat 2B, Miss Budweiser looking for its 2nd consecutive victory. They'll have a challenge from the American Spirit, the Tide, and the DOC Ray-Ban boat.
Jim, as they line up on the course, it is the Tide in lane number 1. Lane 2 is Art Van's American Spirit. Lane 3 is the Miss Budweiser. And on the outside, lane 4, U3, Miss DOC Ray-Ban. Mitch Evans driving that boat. And as they come down into turns 1 and 2, it's going to be the Art Van American Spirit with the Miss Budweiser on the outside, trying to catch him. Let's see if he can do it as he comes out of turn number 2. Mark Evans holding it in there, but it is going to be Chip Hanauer trying to take over on the backstretch here in Detroit.
Hanauer looked like he was shot out of a slingshot in the Miss Budweiser in that lane number 3. He likes that spot on this particular Detroit River course, And here, as we said before, is the smoothest part of the course, approaching the Detroit Yacht Club into the Rooster Tail turn in corner number 3, which is really tight.
And we can see a little bit of lightness on behalf of the American Spirit boat. Miss Budweiser holding strong on the water right now. Mark Evans managed to hold it in. Looked like he kind of hooked it as he came out of the turn, but he got it back on track. The Tide had to watch out for him. Good driving by both of the drivers on the course. Meanwhile, Miss Budweiser has taken over the lead with Art Van's American Spirit second and the Tide boat now in third place.
The Tide has moved up now as we come into corner number 1 for the second time, and it is the Tide taking over second place as we look at our leader coming off of corner number 2 and down the back chute. Miss Budweiser with Chip Hanauer looking for an unprecedented 9th Gold Cup that'll make the new record not only for himself but for owner Bernie Little as well. Number 9 for both guys.
A lot of credit to the crew and owner Bill Worcester of the Tide boat. George Woods Jr. driving in second place now.
DOC Ray-Ban, Mitch Evans has moved up to third. Art Van's American Spirit is out of action. They must have heard something when they hooked the boat.
There's the checkered flag out to the Miss Budweiser, second win of the day for Chip Hanauer. That's a good start to Gold Cup action. He wins with Tide second. DOC Ray-Ban is third. American Spirit did not finish. And that wraps up yesterday's action. We'll be back to today's action in the Detroit Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup in just a moment. Welcome back to the city of Detroit, where the Detroit Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup is happening. Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick and Steve Montgomery. We talked to some of the drivers and an owner or two about this tradition, the strong feeling about the Detroit course.
The race course is rough.
Boy, that's a challenge. It's truly a great place to race.
And I just think it's a fun race course.
The Motor City has earned its reputation. I mean, it's a rough and tumble place.
Really enjoyed going there.
Detroit's my favorite.
Detroit's probably one of the most difficult courses. The one time you can come through one of those areas and it'll be just dead flat. The next lap you go through there and there'll be some ground swell that'll send you sailing.
Bill Muncie said you don't beat the Detroit, you just survive it, and he's got a point there, man.
There's so much tradition and so much history that it's just a fun week to be part of that.
To win at Detroit is to have really done something significant, so that's very important to us this year.
That course has given us some trouble over the years. Sometimes we've done really well, and then boom, the gremlins come out and grab us.
It's one of my favorites. Got a lot of prestige. That's where boat racing starts. It's the Gold Cup the last couple of years as well as this year, which is my lifetime dream, is to win the Gold Cup.
I think the river is a great challenge in its own way. It has a real tight corner, and it has the biggest corner on the circuit.
The Detroit race is the great equalizer. No matter what anybody has, everybody's equal in that body of water.
And that man was the owner of the Miss Circus, Ron Jones Jr., and yesterday that boat was claimed by these waters in an accident. Let's find out more from Jim Hendrick in the pits with Dave Vilwalk.
Dave Vilwalk, driver Circus, looking none the worse for the wear. How do you feel?
Pretty good. I got a couple little bumps on the knee and on the chin, a little strain in the knee, but other than that, I'm in good shape and I feel real good. The guys did a great job.
Tell us exactly what happened from inside the cockpit.
Steve David came over right at the entrance pin, and the white water was coming at me, of course, and I tried to get into the inside of the course to get away from him, but it caught the tail end of the boat and started to lift it. And when it did, it rolled the boat upside down, and then it flew along, I guess, for like 100 yards upside down, and then hit on the left sponson upside down and somehow rotated and righted itself up right side up.
As we get ready for the racing today, the opening ceremony's underway. The boats are in their final preparation stages, some of them being lowered into the water for Heat 1A, and those include the Tide boat with George Woods Jr., which has been running very strong so far this weekend. The DOC Ray-Ban, Mitch Evans, the only piston-powered boat in the field. The American Spirit, U100, Mark Evans will be driving that boat. And the DOC AccuView, Ken Muscatel, the U55.
We're getting word that the DOC Ray-Ban, Mitch Evans, will not be in this one. They've had carburetion problems plague them for the last couple of days. We're down to 3 boats as the Tide leads them on the inside lane 1.
Well, Mitch Evans, I'm sure, will be cheering for his brother who leads the boats through turn number 1 right now, and that's Mark Evans in the American Spirit. He has the Tide boat to worry about on his left side, just on the inside off his hip pocket. George Woods Jr. continues his charge, holds his lane in lane number 1, coming out of turn number 2 onto the back stretch. He puts power to it. Let's see if they'll go up and even deck to deck.
Look at the rooster tail on that boat on the left, which is the Art Van, and look at the inside shot as the Tide with George Woods will not give up. Watch it now, Dick. This is a tight turn here in corners 3 and 4.
And George Woods Jr., the orange boat on the inside, he's the man that was talking about how calm it can be one moment and how those swells can come up and throw you for a loop the next moment, but he sure takes advantage of good water. He gets into the lead position. It is now Tide in the lead, and the Art Van American Spirit in second place, but the fight is not won yet.
1:45.6 on the first lap, and let's check now that every lap today is 5 laps. Yesterday, they were sprints, 3 laps to get them here. This is the longest race of the year for the most coveted cup of all, the A.P.B.A. Gold Cup.
As we look at George Woods Jr. coming out of turn number 2, it's a good time to remind you of last year's racing. Now, in Madison, Indiana last year, he lost a sponson on the boat, literally finished the race on one sponson. And then he came along in Seattle, and they had rebuilt the sponson, found the boat went a little bit faster with the rebuilt sponson, and they won the race in Seattle. So you can imagine the feeling of that pit crew right now after all their hard work in the off-season, getting the boat working just so beautifully now to see it out in front in this heat.
A fine team, and they deserve a lot, and I'll tell you, they go into every race with the idea that they can win this thing, and you know what? They're right.
George Woods Jr., one of the favorite drivers along the unlimited shoreline, and he has, of course, driven the limited hydroplanes for many, many years. Second place still, Mark Evans in Art Van's American Spirit. A good shot there of how the boat is holding the water. He really has a very good attitude, takes a little bit of a bump here and there. Now, apparently there's a problem of some kind with Ken Muscatel.
Yes, he has been disqualified because his canopy, look at, he's holding the wheel with one hand, he's holding his canopy down. The officials have spotted that. And it's a safety infraction. He is disqualified from this race. He'll be black flagged, and we're down to 2 boats.
The 2 boats being the Art Van American Spirit back in second place, and this boat, the leader, Tide boat, George Woods Jr. And George is just having a good run. This is a near-perfect day in Detroit, and the river is really cooperating with the racers. There's the checkered flag. George Woods Jr. coming home first. We'll be back with the RC Cola Unlimited Hydroplane Series, the Detroit Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup, in just a moment. Welcome back to Detroit, Michigan. We're on the back stretch of the Unlimited Hydroplane course. It is bordered in part by the Detroit Yacht Club on beautiful Belle Isle. The results from Heat 3A, the Tide first, American Spirit second, DOC Ray-Ban did not start, DOC AccuView was disqualified.
George Woods, our winner of Heat 3A in the Tide. George, it's back to the old days. Time starts, 5 laps. He made a good start, though.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Steve, it's really tough. You know, we only get to do this once a year, and we come down here to the Detroit River, and this is a tough river to race against all by itself. And we have a tight corner down here. It gets crowded, and a real short run to the clock. It stretches our expertise quite a bit.
And everybody's going to be going for it. The Gold Cup, that is. A lot of tradition there. Bernie Little going for his 9th as owner of the Miss Budweiser. Jim Hendrick talked to him yesterday about that.
Down here with Bernie Little, who has 8 times had the Gold Cup at his house. You're looking for a 9th, and it's always exciting.
Yes, it is, Jim. We hope to take this home with us today. Needless to tell you that it's been there for quite a while, and it'd leave an awful empty place in my office and on my piano at home. So we're going to go real hard to get it done today.
Here are the boats that are going to go real hard in Heat 3B, T+, with Steve David aboard, Jim Harvey's boat, the Winston Eagle, Steve Woomer, the owner of that boat, Mark Tate driving it. The Miss Budweiser, Chip Hanauer, and of course, owner Bernie Little. Rounding out the field will be Mike Hansen of Madison, Indiana, and the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Bob Hughes is the owner rep on that boat.
As they start Heat 3B, Dick, look at this. The Miss Budweiser chooses lane number 1.
That's got to surprise everybody in the field, including Mark Tate. This is the first time those 2 boats, the Miss Budweiser and the Winston Eagle, have matched up on the course here in the Detroit River in this Gold Cup competition. And what happens? But Chip Hanauer goes to lane 1. He knows what he's doing. He knows his boat. He's leading as they come out of turn number 2. 2. He makes it out onto the backstretch, and he's got a clear run straight ahead.
Chip Hanauer has raced since the age of 10 years old. He was in the Nationals, the J class, as we look at the fight for second place between the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes on the outside, and look at Mark Tate put the pedal to the metal and take over second place in the Winston Eagle, and a problem.
The problem, the Miss T Plus has gone down in the water, and that's mostly steam coming off of the boat at the moment. It looks like Stephen David is going to try to restart that boat. We'll keep an eye on it, as we will keep an eye on the Miss Budweiser leading this race. The Miss Budweiser, Chip Hanauer, looking for its 9th Gold Cup. He's got to win this race and a couple others today to get it. But look at the battle in second place. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes has not backed off at all. Winston Eagle has a problem on his outside, and that's the boat trying to catch him. No problem for the Miss Budweiser. If Chip Hanauer looks into the rearview mirrors now, he won't see any close competition. Those two boats in second place are worried about each other for the moment.
Let's not get confused when you see yachts in a marina, because on the western end of the course is the Detroit Boat Club down in turn number 1, and the Yacht Club is down in turn number 2, farther down the chutes in the east end of the course.
Miss Budweiser still holding on to first place. Third place is the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, the boat out of Madison, Indiana. And that boat is driven by Mike Hansen, who said earlier in our show that he would love nothing better than to win a Gold Cup on the Detroit River. Well, Mike, I think that echoes the view of every single driver in the race today.
156.9 mile an hour. As we look at the T Plus, he's restarted. 156.9, the fastest lap for Budweiser in this heat. And look at Steve David drive the T Plus.
Uh-oh! T Plus threw something. I don't know. He spun that engine awfully fast. He may have lost something on the boat. He went dead right in front of the crowd. If you could hear it, the crowd went, oh, all at one time. They knew something was wrong.
Something wound up tight. We'll try to find out as the winner of Heat 3B and 3 perfect victories in elimination heats in the 1993 Gold Cup goes to Miss Budweiser.
The Detroit River course sees another win by the Miss Budweiser. Winston Eagle second, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes third, and it did not finish for the T Plus, but they've got a problem.
The problem is Steve David is jammed in the cockpit. They cannot get the canopy open. Let's go down to the pits and Steve Montgomery.
Jim, you've talked to Steve. He's okay in there?
Yes, he's okay. We just can't get the canopy open. Apparently, when whatever broke, rattled the boat bad enough that it snapped an arm, and canopy locked closed, and we get it here, we don't know how to get it out.
He has plenty of air, though. He's okay.
Oh, he's got plenty of air, and what we'll probably do is lift the boat up and take him out through the bottom hatch.
The action continues in the Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup from Detroit, Michigan, after this timeout.
As we welcome you back to the Motor City, let's say hi to Tony Stevenson and Mike Kantz. Tony from Irvine, California, Mike from McKinney, Texas. They're piloting the Bud 1 airship high above the course, and if they look down right now, they can look down upon the Dodge pits where all the action is, and where Jim Hendrick is standing by with the winner of our last heat, Chip Hanauer.
All right, Chip, how would you compare the water conditions yesterday's action as compared to today's?
Well, it's really different. Although there's not as much wind today, there's more rollers today. I think it's, in many ways, it's just as challenging but different.
All right. Bernie, you were tied going into this heat today with the Winston. Now you take a slight advantage.
Yeah, we sure did. We planned to be there, and Chip drove the hell out of the boat, needless to tell you. And we are just looking for the Gold Cup one more time for Chip and myself.
Better than 500,000 fans in Detroit wondering about Steve David, who is trapped in his boat. Well, the good news is Steve appears to be okay. He's going to be checked out by the medical crew. Let's find out more about what happened.
This is Tim Ramsey, crew chief on the T Plus. Tim, a little bit of damage here. You lost a prop, and it took some equipment with it.
Yeah, this is pretty typical when we lose propeller. What ended up happening here is we lost a propeller blade, and it caused some damage. There's a severe crack here in the strut. Fortunately, the bottom panel underneath the strut stayed pretty much intact. But you can see up forward here, we've got some damage in the shaft log area that we're going to have to take and do some extensive repair work in the bottom of the boat. We've got some honeycomb wrinkle and some damage up inside by the gearbox we're going to have to repair too.
And apparently that shockwave was enough to freeze the canopy on Steve David. Let's go down and talk with him.
Steve David finally out from under glass on the T Plus. Sometimes a little more protection than you want.
Yeah, that thing, it's meant to keep you in there, Steve, no matter what.
The explosion shook something up?
yeah, when the engine and the propeller let go, it just broke the pins. It was such a violent shaking that the cockpit couldn't open up.
You fogged up the windows a little, but you're okay.
Yeah, and that fogging was because of the beautiful women along the shoreline, not because of anything in the boat.
4 boats are scheduled to answer the starting gun in Heat 4A, the DOC AccuView, Winston Eagle, Kellogg's, and the Tide.
Jim, as the boats come down for the start, we get a great shot out of the Bud 1 airship. Boy, you can see the massive crowd along the sidelines here in Detroit. This city really buys it when it comes to unlimited hydroplane racing. Great start for the boats, one off the pace. That appears to be the DOC AccuView. Meanwhile, up front, the Winston Eagle is doing a great job. Kellogg's is on the outside. He's trying to take advantage of a little more speed in the turn. Meanwhile, Tide is right up on the inside of the Winston. We'll see how they come out of turn number 2. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes is the leader. Mike Hansen, can he hold it as they hit down on the back stretch?
Boy, we've got a race here. The Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, Mike Hansen came off of that corner number 2 like a scalded ape. But look, on the middle, it's the Winston Eagle and the Tide. 3 boats almost side by side coming down to the Rooster Tail turn.
Little light for the Winston Eagle. Mark Tate got up and waved at the crowd, but that wasn't his intent. He'll keep all the waving inside the cockpit if he can, but it pays off. He holds on to the boat, and as you can see, he has now taken the lead. But George Woods Jr. in the Tide boat is not letting him get away.
And he also is on the short part of the course when you're in lane 1, but he can come up on the inside as he hit the RC Cola buoy right there, which marks the entrance to the turn. This is the widest turn. These guys do not, I repeat, do not take their foot off the accelerator in this turn.
Winston Eagle is your lead boat with hometown favorite Mark Tate driving, and he is looking and thinking about that Gold Cup right now and trying to figure out how he can win it. DOC AccuView still having troubles. It appears that Ken Muscatel just can't get enough power to the boat to keep it up on plane. Meanwhile, the battle goes on. Winston Eagle is leading, but just split seconds behind him. On the inside is the Tide boat, George Woods Jr. George doing a fine job of driving in second place.
Are you ready for this? Minutes ago, Miss Budweiser set a new heat record at 150.470, beating Mark Tate's Winston Eagle record of 91 by about 8 miles an hour. Right now, the Winston Eagle, Mark Tate, is going to take his record back by averaging 151.3, breaking the record by about a mile an hour of the previous heat set by the Bud.
What a race for Mark Tate, and what a preliminary for the Gold Cup Championship race later this afternoon. Mark Tate still on the course, still enjoying the ride. Clearwater in front of him. He's got to be a little bit concerned about the Tide boat because even though he's setting a record speed, George Woods Jr. right behind him in the Tide boat is not letting him up at all.
170 plus mile an hour in qualification for this boat as we look at the Tide in second place. That gives these guys a pretty good leg up on the old dual shootout for top money, the very last race of the year in Honolulu.
Still a tight race as they come down around the Rooster Tail turn. That turn can play havoc, but it didn't this time around, and it's going to be Winston Eagle, Mark Tate taking a hometown win. Better than 500,000 fans waving him in. Winston Eagle first, the Tide is second, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes third, DOC AccuView did not finish.
Well, down here with a happy Winston crew, Steve Woomer, you kind of were pacing the pits. That was a close first lap.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful to watch. I felt like a spectator for a minute, but I was cheering hard for the Winston Eagle, of course.
Did you realize you flew it down there near corner number 3?
Yeah, I got real late coming into corner 3, but you know we were three boats side by side, and I was pushing a little hard trying to get a little edge on them coming into the corner, but everything worked out great for the Winston Eagle.
More action still to come in the RC Cola Unlimited Hydroplane Series, the Detroit Budweiser A.P.B.A Gold Cup, when we come back. Welcome back to the Motor City of Detroit, the Detroit River, where the 500,000 plus fans are enjoying a great day and a great day of racing. Jim Hendrick is down in the pit area with a hydro booster who's been involved for a while.
Down here in the DOC camp with Richard Golden, and you have 2 boats in this one. How come?
Well, this year we got lucky. We wanted to do a turbine boat, and the DOC AccuView boat became available, and we jumped on the opportunity. And as you saw yesterday, we did really well. Strong second in that first heat.
You've been a supporter for the sport of unlimiteds for a long time.
This is our 7th year. We had the DOC Ray-Ban also running, which did not finish their heat, but I think you'll see that they'll get the problems worked out and will be a strong contender again today.
And wishing you a good day across the nation. The hands are up to give you a great big wave and a hello from Detroit. No doubt some of those waves will go out to Kathy Ireland, Supermodel, who's here as a guest of the race officials, being officially welcomed to the site in the Dodge pits with us today. And another special guest for the youngsters, Super Tiger, Tony the Tiger, representing, of course, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. And they've had a pretty good day out here thus far.
And now Heat 4B, the final preliminary heat. Leading up to the winner-take-all final, here's your 4 entries: DOC Ray-Ban, the T+, Miss Budweiser, and the American Spirit.
Now, we had 2 boats that did not take the start on this one. T+ and the American Spirit are sidelined. We just have the Miss Budweiser in sort of a drag race, if you will, with DOC Ray-Ban. This is really the show of generations, if you will, because the sport started with the turbocharged Allison engines, which is the engine being used to power the DOC Ray-Ban, and of course it has evolved now to the turbine engine, and this is the state-of-the-art Miss Budweiser with the absolute state-of-the-art turbine engine. And incidentally, we might mention, you get a good look at that, you'll see a short stack off of that turbine engine. We've talked about that in previous shows. We'll talk about it again, but it was interesting. Chip Hanauer says that it gives them a little bit more air across the wing and the back, maybe gives them a little bit more control. But we'll watch closely now. The DOC Ray-Ban, Mitch Evans riding in second place. The lead boat is the Miss Budweiser. He's going to give him a little extra room to turn because he knows that boat turns slower. Whoa! Look what happens right down by the seawall. Well, he cooled off some fans for sure. I think they appreciated that.
So Miss Budweiser makes it a perfect 2 days so far going into the finale. The T+, losing the prop is damaged, out of the race, but they're still celebrating a special day. We'll be back with a special final heat in just a moment. Here in Detroit, I'm Jim Hendrick, along with Dick Crippen and Steve Montgomery. We have a lull before the storm as we're getting set for the winner-take-all final.
Here are the results from Heat 4B. The Miss Budweiser taking first, DOC Ray-Ban with 300 points in second. Miss T+ and American Spirit did not start. Let's learn more about unlimited hydroplane racing in the T+ Performance Corner.
Hi, I'm Steve David. Last week we began Unlimited Hydros 101. Today we finish it up for you. This is what moves the unlimited hydroplane through the water. This is the propeller. Our rules require no more than a 16-inch diameter, but the pitch can be anywhere from 24 to 27 inches. What's that mean? Every revolution of the propeller with a 27-inch prop moves you forward 27 inches. These turn anywhere from a low of 9,000 to a high of 13,000 revolutions per minute. They're made out of stainless steel. What steers an unlimited hydroplane is the rudder. The rudder has water pickups to it, one for speedometer and one for gearbox. As we talked about earlier, the turbine has to go through a gearbox. This is connected here to a quadrant to steering cables up in the cockpit. Very responsive, and as you can see, the depth when we're actually running, there's only about this much of the rudder in the water. This is made out of billet steel. Your normal family pleasure craft would have what's called a V-bottom hull. With an unlimited hydroplane, there's a ram wing center that you see. Those are attached to a sponson or the canoe. The sponson gives lift to the boat and stability. When you go to a turn, it's the sponsons that keep the boat upright, but it's the main body of the hull that packs the air underneath it and causes the boat to become a hydroplane to lift and float along the air. Put it all together, the turbine engine, the gearbox, the cockpit, the sponsons, the ram wing, the wings, the tailpipe props. You got a world-class hydroplane. Put that together with a world-class team and crew and driver. You got a 200+ mile an hour boat.
Thank you, Steve. As this 500,000+ crowd looks on, there could be history in the making. That history would be Chip Hanauer taking an unprecedented 9th Gold Cup. Let's go to Steve Montgomery.
In the record book, Bill Muncy and Chip Hanauer are tied with 8 Gold Cups. Chip, you go after number 9. I know Gold Cups are kind of special. This one really would be.
Well, it is, but at this point, I'm not looking at winning or losing the Gold Cup or what it would mean to have 9. I'm trying to just be very focused on what I have to do. We're kind of behind the 8 ball. We're not running like we'd like to run. So right now, it's just focusing on trying to do a good job.
Our thanks to Bud 1 for coverage from the air today. As we look to the right, south of Detroit, you see the neighboring city of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to know more about the unlimited hydroplanes and want a media guide, then by all means write to the URC, 414 Pontius Avenue, North, Suite C, Seattle, or call 206-467-1368. The winner-take-all final, set to go on the historic Detroit River, and we'll be back with all the action in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Motor City of Detroit, and we are set now, Jim, for the Gold Cup.
And no lane choices, they have to fight for it. The tie, George Woods Jr. For owner Bill Wooster, Bernie Littlesmith's Budweiser, driven by Chip Hanauer, looking for that record-setting 9th Gold Cup win. DOC AccuView with Ken Muscatel. Mark Tate and Steve Woomer's Winston Eagle. Kellogg's with Mike Hansen, representing the city of Madison, Indiana. Owner's rep Bob Hughes. Mark Evans and Fred Leland's American Spirit. Art Van vote for this one, and we look from the Bud 1 ship. Here's the start of the final heat.
Side by side, they come up in a beautiful fan, and it looks like they're going to get the flag on this one to go, and there's the gun. They are off. It looks like the Winston Eagle is trying to take it in lane number 3. We'll see if he can outrun the Budweiser. Budweiser on the inside. Winston Eagle has just gone dead in the water. We don't know what happened, but Mark Tate was leading. As they came down into turn number 1, all of a sudden he lost the rooster tail. You can see him in the background just sitting dead in the water. The Miss Budweiser, Chip Hanauer, has taken over the lead.
5 laps, a perfect course, a perfect day. Over 500,000 fans. History could be in the making. As coming off of corner number 2, wobbling just a little bit light, Miss Budweiser with Chip Hanauer.
You have to feel that Chip Hanauer right now is going to try to set that pace and make it a blistering pace, because he knows there's a battle going on for second place right now. Kellogg's Tony the Tiger is on the outside, the Tide boat on the inside, but neither boat at the moment is challenging the Miss Budweiser. So he'll try to establish a good margin, get a little bit of a buffer zone between himself and the 2 boats, as you see on your screen, that are battling for second place. But this is a time that Chip Hanauer has to be oh so cautious. By the way, there's the Winston Eagle sitting dead in the water. You saw Kellogg's go by on the outside. Boy, what a break for Mark Tate.
A bad break for Mark Tate, who won this Gold Cup in 1991. We have word from the pits. The engine just let go. The hot section is finished. He's through for the day. A disappointment.
I have to think that Chip Hanauer right now has to be working on his focus. He's got to keep running this race. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes is in second place, but just barely. As a matter of fact, as we say that, the Tide boat, George Woods Jr., goes up and tries to take second place away from him. He does momentarily, but it's about deck and deck as they come down into the Rooster Tail turn. But I was going to say that Chip Hanauer has to stay focused. It's so easy when you don't see the boats right on your tail to think maybe you got an easy ride. You back off, you get a little bit slack. There's only split seconds dividing first and second place in this race. Hanauer has got to keep his foot in it. He's got to keep his mind straight ahead.
He's going to conserve his boat, too. Lap number 1 was just under 150 mile an hour. Lap 2, when he came around and saw the Winston Eagle dead in the water, eased up about 5 mile an hour at 145.1 as we look at Mark Tate, a spectator.
Boy, he has got to be really heartbroken on this one. He was riding so good in the boat up to this point, but it just went dead on him on the start. So now, uncontested, is the Miss Budweiser. Now, this team is looking for its 9th Gold Cup. Both owner Bernie Little and the driver Chip Hanauer going for their 9th Gold Cup. But the challenge may come from the Tide. Now riding in second place, George Woods Jr. has not let off. This is one of the best runs he's had in a while, and he's holding in. Meanwhile, the Miss Budweiser is starting to close in on the trailer boat. Ken Muscatel, we'll see if he can lap him before the end of this race. More than likely he will. It looks like, as a matter of fact, as we say it, here he comes up on the outside. Ken Muscatel is on the inside, the right of your screen. The Miss Budweiser on the left-hand side of your screen as he goes wide to allow the inside boat plenty of room. He will take him on the outside coming out of turn number 2.
5 miles to go, and history will be made. At the age of 10, Chip Hanauer in the J-Class Outboards up in Seattle with his father Stan in the back of a pickup truck. His first nationals, he placed 5th, and he was beaten by a girl. He said if that girl was racing today, she might beat him. But he's going to make history today if he can just keep it up as we look at the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes in 3rd place.
Good drive for the 3rd place boat, and here's 4th place American Spirit. Mark Evans driving that for Art Van this weekend in Detroit, taking a little bit of a bounce as he comes around the water. Here is the Miss Budweiser, and everybody's holding their breath right now. You know, we've had it where these boats have come down right to the finish and stopped before the finish line. All they have to do is keep this boat going to win this race out here. I think he's got himself enough of a buffer between 1st and 2nd.
He's on the last lap. The checkered flag is waiting. Here is where you start to hear gremlins. Here you start feeling vibrations that you aren't sure we're there before. Just keep it together as we look at the second place tied with George Wood.
And we talked earlier about the focus, and this is where Chip Hanauer can't get excited too early. It's like the guy that celebrates on the 5-yard line and gets tackled on the 1. He doesn't get the score. Chip has got to keep his focus on the checkered flag, and it waits for him now.
And that adrenaline will come rushing forth once that checkered flag falls as he comes around the last turn.
There it is. The checkered flag is waving, and Chip Hanauer has won a 9th Gold Cup for himself and for Miss Budweiser owner Bernie Little. You want to see a celebration? Stay tuned. We'll go down to the winning pit when we come back. As you come back to Detroit and join us, look at that celebration.
Come here, guys.
Chip Hanauer, Bernie Little, both of them possessing now their 9th record-setting Gold Cups. A happy driver, a happy owner, and a happy pit crew. And incidentally, the man right behind Chip Hanauer is his dad. There's a hug for the man who started it all for him. What a moment. Absorbing it for just a moment, letting you in on the fun. Make it official, here are the results in the final. Miss Budweiser first, the Tide second, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes third, American Spirit fourth, and DOC AccuView is fifth. Let's go down and join owner and driver.
Bernie Little, the winning owner, Chip Hanauer, the winning driver. It's Gold Cup number 9 for both of them. No matter how many times you do this, Bernie, this is a big thrill.
Oh, it really is, and you can't do it enough for it not to be. To win the Gold Cup with these boats running like they're running. Sorry for Winston, they put up a hell of a fight, but it just wasn't in the cards for them today. They'll be back, as the circus will, and T+. But Chip did an outstanding job, as he knew he would, and I think you ought to talk to Chip.
Chip, when did you know that Mark wasn't there?
I knew right away. I was watching my rearview mirror after the start, keeping track, and I kept waiting for him to come, and he didn't come, and I looked, and all of a sudden I saw him fade back, and that was a nice sight to see, but there's so damn many orange boats out there, I couldn't tell for certain if it was him or not. But the Tide was right there with me.
How does number 9 feel?
Number 9 feels especially good because of the job that these guys did. We were really hurting. When I left the pits on Friday before the first day of racing, I was scared. We couldn't make the boat go fast. We couldn't make it handle. And they said, hang with me, hang with us. We'll make it right for you. And they always do. Sometimes it's the nick of time, but this one belongs to these guys. They just dug it out and dug it out.
The RC Cola Hydroplane Series shows the Budweiser with a 700-point lead. Top 3 point getters at the end of the year race in the O'Doul Shootout in Hawaii.
And so the record book closes on Gold Cup 93 with 9 victories for Chip Hanauer, the driver, for Miss Budweiser, and the owner, Bernie Little. Interesting race, Steve.
It's always interesting, Jim, racing on the Detroit River. Truly a race driver's course. Tremendous high-speed straightaways, the big sweeping Belle Isle turn, a hairpin at the other end. Today, no doubt, Chip Hanauer was the best boat racer.
And, of course, it was a demolition derby type for the last couple of days. Dave Vilrock will be back in Miami with a backup Circus boat. T+ will be ready, as will the Winston, and we'll be there. On behalf of Dick Crippen, Steve Montgomery, I'm Jim Hendrick. From Detroit, so long.
The Budweiser A.P.B.A. Gold Cup has been sponsored by RC Cola. Race to the taste of RC Cola, me and my RC. By T+, beat the daily grind. Use T+, the engine treatment with DuPont Teflon. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that smooth taste. Proud to be your Bud. This event has been sanctioned by the American Powerboat Association. This has been a production of Diamond P Sports in association with ESPN.